going to go to some of these players who nobody knows about, and then they play a match or they make one great play or something, and I'm seeing people's following numbers rise by 100,000 in the game, and at the end of a game they may have had 50,000 and they're close to 1 million when the game's over.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, the world is watching right now.
It
So
is.
it's all about, borrowed attention. And I think the attention right now is on the World Cup. And then also we've got, our 250th anniversary of the
Yep.
US. So those two events right now is what everybody's talking about. So, my advice to the rest of the world is to jump in on what everyone else is talking about.
But I mean, what are some of the guides that you have, the guidelines for that? Because it can be a little bit cheesy if people jump in and they really don't have a place to, or they don't know what they're talking about. But some companies do it really well and they make a good campaign. And, it's got to be a clever kind of thing that matches what your brand is doing. Do you have some guidelines or tips for businesses to do that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mary. You got to be, you can either fall flat on your face or it can work out really well for you. And I think it's just about aligning yourself with whatever topic you're talking about and make sure it relates back to your core expertise. So one example I talk about is, I talk a lot on leadership. And so there's a lot of leadership lessons that we're learning from some of the folks that have been in the World Cup for over 20 years, like Ronaldo or Messi, and how they are, figuring out ways to innovate and change and still be two of the greatest players of all time. And you can definitely relate that back to your business from a leadership perspective.
It's amazing because on X there are these competing videos going around of Messi and how he kind of interacts with opposing players, and guys are reaching out like to high five or hug him and stuff, and he's like, just get away from me. Where Ronaldo, on the other hand, hugs everybody, high fives everybody, stops and takes pictures with everybody, and obviously Messi has a World Cup to his name, Ronaldo doesn't. But it's just, it's crazy how you've got the different fan bases that are taking shots at these world-class players. Now, if they know it or not, I have no idea. But, I mean, social media is just a buzz with, Corey, so many different lanes of fandom for this World Cup. And I don't remember this 4 years ago.
I don't either. I think it has something to do with it obviously being in our backyard, which
True.
helps. But I think, it's really just recognizing as a business. Again, I know you've got a lot of business listeners out there, and it's like, so what can we do?
Yeah.
And I would just say that, you jump on the trend, you borrow the attention that the world is really looking at right now, but do it in a way that's useful to your expertise. If you're a restaurant, then maybe you're doing some daily specials based on scores of the game. Have some fun with it. But don't take it too seriously, and for what it's worth, don't ever get political or even jump on anything that might be too controversial that might hurt your business instead of help it.
And Corey, am I correct? I seem to recall when it was Super Bowl time and I was working for some restaurants and we were having specials, we couldn't say the word Super Bowl. We could say the big game, and we had to be very careful about showing any sort of trademarked, copyrighted, players' jerseys, the logos. Is that the same here, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think you want to be careful. FIFA's got a pretty good attorney budget and such like that, so you want to be a little bit careful with some of the words that you say and such. But we're also small fish to fry, to some degree. So, but yeah, generally be careful about showing clips, things of that nature. Instead, maybe talk about the event as opposed to showing the event. You're always safer that way.